Where's the beef? That was a popular Wendy's ad slogan from the 80s, making fun of competitors for the size of their burgers. Well, that line is making a bit of a comeback with a proposed class action suit going forward in the United States. It accuses Burger King of making its Whopper appear larger in ads than it actually is. Burger King contends it's not required to deliver a burger that looks exactly like the picture.
Whopper, 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 Whopper.
Burger King's signature burger is often at the center of its ad campaigns. Well, now it's at the center of a class action lawsuit in the United States. The tagline says, "Have it your way." But customers feel that way looks nothing like the ads.
These people aren't looking to get $5 million because they bought a hamburger that didn't look like what they were advertised. The consumers really want to bring about change.
At the heart of this beef is how the ads show ingredients that overflow the bun, making it appear 35% larger, or roughly double the meat it has in real life. The court documents show a side-by-side comparison of a Whopper served to a customer versus what's depicted in the ads.
Essentially, this lawsuit boils down to, you sold me something that wasn't exactly what I got. Burger King is just going to have to show that they were not in a contractual agreement and that what they advertised was what they gave to consumers, and that any hyperbole on their part or exaggeration was what a reasonable consumer would expect.
Taco Bell is another chain embroiled in a food fight. It is being sued in New York for allegedly selling popular menu items with half the amount of filling as you see in the ads.
What do you call a crunch wrap with double the seasoned beef?
The ad even claims to have double the amount of ingredients, yet what ended up getting served to customers looks nothing like it. So here's the question we've been asking you. Do you expect your food to look like it appears on the menu or ad? 53.5% of you say yes, you do. 46.5% of you say no, you don't. Let's bring back Neil and Anne, two people who I'm sure frequent these establishments on a regular basis. He said, tongue firmly planted in cheek. So Anne, do you think it's reasonable for people to expect that it looks like the ad when it comes to them at the restaurant?
Well, you know, the ads are very colorful and they look appetizing, and there's, you know, often the product that you get doesn't really look like that. And I mean, I think there is an issue with false advertising here for sure. And I don't think that those two companies, Taco Bell and Burger King, are the only ones that indulge in that. I think you see that right widely across the food industry. And there are people called food stylists whose job it is to, you know, plump up the stuff and make it look beautiful and convince us to buy it. The thing that's bothersome to me about this is that's those burgers and that kind of food, that so-called food will kill you if you eat it too often, and if you buy the advertising and the presentation of it. I mean, that is fast food. It's full of salt and fat and sugar. You know, the nutritional value of it is highly debatable. At least they're now they're posting the calories. Like a burger is like 700-800 calories or something crazy. It's like you cannot eat that on a regular basis. Whether it looks like the one on the left or the one on the right, you really can't. You know, you can't indulge in that too often. I say that as an A&W fan. So I mean, I'm in favor of local food and, you know, trying to buy in markets and from local producers as far as possible. Like, I find this kind of amusing and kind of sad in a funny way. Like, if you think that those companies are going to be, you know, concerned about you and what you end up eating, then I think you're confused, and unfortunately you're going to end up not eating very well. It's more like, that stuff is more like entertainment than actual food, it seems to me.
Yeah, but Neil, should people expect that it'll at least look a little bit like that when it arrives on their plate?
Yeah, I mean, and here, look, let's be honest. I mean, here's my receipt, okay? So you can see the golden arches on the receipt right there. Let's dispense with that right out of the gate. I actually had a Big Mac at a McDonald's location in Newmarket, Ontario. This is about 3 years ago. And I was so excited because when I opened the box, it looked like one of the ones in the TV commercial. I was so excited that even though I got it at the drive-thru, I pulled into the parking lot, I got out of the car, I went into the store, I asked to see the manager, and I thanked the manager, and I thanked everybody that was working, because I was like, this is the first time I've actually felt like one of these burger chains gives a rat's keister about the customers. Look at the beauty of this burger. But then I went over and opened the chicken and bacon McWrap. That was also part of the same order, which looked more like an open-faced sandwich, because obviously the person who was making the wraps was not the same person that was making the Big Macs and had been horribly, poorly trained on what an actual wrap is supposed to look like. Now, I come at this from the other side of it because I was an ad agency guy and I was a copywriter for 40 years. I teach a copywriting course now that you can get online, where one of the things we talk about is the burger wars and the differences between 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun versus have it your way versus all of the different things that the burger chains use. And I think it was when, you may remember this, or I may be dating myself, a book came out called Subliminal Advertising. And on the cover of Subliminal Advertising was a glass of Coke. The glass of Coke was full of ice, and they had zoomed in on the part of the photo where you could see that an artist had clearly airbrushed the word sex into one of the ice cubes. And I think that was the time where we all started to become aware that these aren't just regular photos that they use in the ads. I mean, Anne's right. We talk about food stylist and all of the things that are supposed to look like different ingredients. You don't even want to know what they actually use in some of those photos for things like mayonnaise and how they dress up the tomatoes to make them look redder and all of the different stuff that goes on. So am I surprised that the burger chains can't make them look like they do in the ads? No, because what's in the ad isn't actually edible food. And I mean that sincerely. That's like, don't eat what's in the ad because it'll kill you.
Yeah, there are chemicals, lipstick on strawberries as well. That's one food stylist trick that I looked up. And also shoe polish on the burgers to make them look a little more brown. But I guess, Anne, coming back to sort of the root of this suit that we're seeing here in the United States, that, you know, of course they are making it look great in the commercial. But at the root of it, saying that, look, this is a contract that I am paying to get that thing that you are advertising there, and it looks nothing like it. It's one thing if it looks kind of like it, but when it really has no semblance of it, do you think that there is a bit of a leg to stand on there?
Well, I think it's a real problem in general with a consumer kind of society, the society that we live in now. A lot of what we're presented with is not at all what we end up getting. Like, we have built-in obsolescence with our appliances. They are made to fall apart within 4, 5, 6 years. They're all made by about 3 companies. You know, we are continuously being had, it seems to me, by these increasingly centralized companies. Like, I think I saw online kind of an organogram of who owns what. Like, Nestle seems to own half of the food industry, and you know, these fast food companies are highly centralized. The stuff is all produced in one place and sent out by truck. Like, we as consumers are doing really badly, it seems to me, with regard to a lot of products. And when I look at this burger thing, I just think it's more of that. It's that we are being sold a bill of goods right across the board, and nobody's particularly concerned about our well-being as consumers, while the prices rise and the quality drops. So I'm glad that this lawsuit is happening, and I think that these companies need to be held responsible. But I think this is increasingly the way things are going, especially after the pandemic, when, you know, like, now we buy a bag of chips, there's fewer chips in there, right? The prices stay the same. So we are continuously being ripped off, and we are being strung a line, and I guess we need to be pushing back, and I'm in favor of that.
A lot of hot air in that bag of chips. Not a lot of hot air on this show, but I do have to cut it off there for right now.